Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Chosen by Shantae LeChey. So, what do I mean when I say snatch your soul? So, in order to snatch your soul, you have to be weak. And you don't have to be weak for a person. You can be weak. You can be weak for something. And music is easy for that because usually when you get into music, like any musician, and usually when you get into music, you love music. I mean, 9 times out of 10, you got into music because you really like music. You love music. And so by you loving music, of course, you will get. It's kind of like your children. Like whenever you look at them, or whenever you do projects with them, or whenever you see they learned a new word or they got a new teeth, you like, oh my baby, oh. It's like an instant, like, oh, you get all bubbly and stuff. And that's the same thing that music will do to you. And just like your children, when it comes to your children, you don't play about your children. So it's like, just everything. Like, music will do that to you. And depending on what happens, like, say, for instance, you like, oh my God, like, I just went into my computer and all my music got deleted, and I just had this producer. I'm just coming up with a scenario, but I just had this producer come over, and all of a sudden all my music is gone, and and you ain't got nobody to talk to, and you go call a coworker or a family member or somebody like that. But what you don't know is, you go call somebody that you don't normally talk to on a daily basis, that you maybe already had feelings for because of your family, or maybe you went to school with them, or maybe their ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend or something, and you were following them. It's easier to happen on the computer, and you were following them. Well, it's easier to get your soul snatched when the individual is in music too. When they're in music too, because of course you want to go talk to somebody else who is in music about it, and then you go to them all happy, like, oh, like, oh, let me tell you this, or oh my God, I can't believe this. Like, let me tell you, oh, I can't, you're not upset or anything, but you're talking to them and you're happy, and all of a sudden, but you're not getting the same energy for them, and you're like, huh? Like, what's going on here? And then you start getting the same energy for them, and then you stop getting the same. It's like I don't know, it's like a machine. It's like an emotional machine or something. So that's what happens whenever your soul is getting snatched. And if it's somebody you love, you're like, okay, like, just say, for instance, your kiddo, like, like your kid, if they come to you, be like, mommy, I accidentally broke your cup. You might be upset for a minute, like, God dang. But if they, cut themselves or something, you trying to figure out what's going on, like, okay, forget that cup, like, baby, like, you gonna fall off for them, like, you ain't worrying about that cup no more, you gonna fall off for them, you want to figure out what's going on. Well, that's what happens. And then if the person is there to snatch your soul, they will say something like, oh, you remember whenever you wore my t-shirt I ain't asked you to wear? Well, that hurt my feelings, and that got me, and you already stuck because that's not what you called for. And then on top of that, you can't believe this is happening because you like, what t-shirt? And then, it was when you was a kid or something, and you like, huh? Like, sure. Which, you might not even did that, but you trying to figure out what t-shirt and still apologizing at the same time like trying to figure out what's going on because you don't know. You don't want your family member, feeling the way they do, or you don't want that. See, like, why? You're trying to figure out what's going on. So that's what happens when your soul is being snatched. So it's just like that. But that all comes from just paying too much to things at one time and just being empathetic. It's okay to have some empathy, though. You want to have some kind of empathy. But at the same time, you don't want to be too empathetic. You know what I mean? To be too empathetic is to be vulnerable, is to get taken advantage of. Okay? And that only happens to those people pleasers and those lovers. And you don't realize you're a people pleaser until you try to figure out, until you realize that you're trying to, until you realize your, you know what I mean? Until you realize your day to day when you're like, okay. You're trying to figure out what's, hey. But no, I come from customer service and I also work with children too. That's why I said I have to take this thing slow, because me, or just strictly did work with holiday music, kids music, stuff like that. Since I already work with children, and if I do other music, maybe do it like digital only, something like that. For the simple fact, I just know me. Like, I am not used to dealing with a bunch of people unless it's on like a business tip, and then this is totally different. This is music. It's spiritual. You get what I'm saying? So, just the whole nine. But that's what will happen. And if you're not for certain what's going on, especially if you don't believe that magic is real, and all of that good stuff. But magic for me is simply it's emotions. That's all it is. It's just emotions. It's an emotional thing. And in order for somebody to take over your emotions, they have to have been studying you. That's not something anybody can do. They have to have been studying you. They've been studying your everything, how you operate. They know how to study. They know exactly what you want, exactly what you like, which makes it difficult because, I'm on here, preaching and teaching y'all at the same time, working on it. That's why I'm like, okay, I guess, I'm going to just have to do my stuff a little differently, because I don't want to leave myself open and vulnerable. You get what I'm saying? I don't want to leave myself open and vulnerable, which I'm not expecting anything bad. You know what I mean? I'm just being amazingly awesome. But at the same time, I'm teaching this. You get what I'm saying? So it's I am aware of it. You know what I mean? So it's it's just it's a gate I'm leaving open for myself, versus you already knowing about it. You listening to my story right now, and if it never happened to you before, and you listening to my story right now, and you're like, okay, I hear her story, so I'm gonna look out for this. You won't look out for it, but you will look out for it. So when you're in a difficult situation like that, to cut it off immediately, or to just say something immediately, like, hey, you know what? I don't think this conversation is gonna work. I'm gonna have to give you a call back later, or, oh, this is not gonna be good for me. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to call you back later, and or I would rather not go through this conversation, or something like that. And that doesn't just happen to anybody. That doesn't just happen to anybody. It can, but that doesn't just happen to anybody. So typically those unique voices, which if you listen to the music, just about everybody has a unique voice. Everybody has a different voice. So you never know who's been through it. But it happens. And the point of the matter is, that doesn't even have to happen in music, though. That can happen in anything. That can happen in anything. But for me, it happened in music because I'm in love with music. You get what I'm saying? Like, it would be hard for it to happen with something else because I'm not... I like to do them, but I'm not in love with it like I am with art. I'm in love with art. Like, I can tune out everything else and just strictly look at art. Like, turn into an art zombie. And that's what I'm afraid I'm going to do again. And so that's why I'm just chillaxing and I'm taking it one day at a time. So don't pay too much close attention to me, y'all. I'm just taking it one day at a time. I'll post things as I go. I know I keep saying I'm going to go start posting less. But every time I look up, I want to record y'all something and post it. So, but I got to stay focused and I got to accumulate, and I can't, I got to try not to fall in love with this thing like I did before. That's what you call that computer love. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay? Because it will do that, because, you know, you get on here and you find people that you can relate to and that you can talk to and things like. And I know for me personally, like, since I've been on here, I've been a talkative person, like, you know, that's really all my social media has ever been for, like, to promote my work and also to encourage and enlighten people. You know, the information I be getting out, this stuff that you'll get in a book, that you'll go buy in a book. You get what I'm saying? But I've experienced enough things in my life. You know, I have not only that, I've just experienced a lot of things in my life, and I just witnessed a lot of things in my life. Like, I'm just blessed. Let's just say that I'm blessed. I'm blessed that I didn't have to do a lot of things. I didn't have to go through a lot of things, but I did go through a lot of things. I went through a lot of things, but, I didn't have to do a lot of things, if that makes sense. But, and the one thing that I had to do, I pray about it every day and I ask God for forgiveness. So, and I'm taking care of my body and I'm being a better woman for me each and every day. And I am continuing to be a awesome mother and teaching my kids to love themselves, because as I tell y'all all the time, oh my gosh, I thought I was all that in a bag of chips when I was younger. All that in a bag. I was all that bag of chips, but no, honey, oh my gosh, I was grown, okay? I was grown, y'all. Let me just say that, grown, okay? But I had to be grown. I was grown, honey. I would never want my child to be that grown. I was grown. You couldn't tell me nothing. I was paying bills at 14. You couldn't tell me nothing, okay? But I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to be, I'm so grateful. I'm just so grateful to have the mindset that I have now and be on a, focus board that I am now. It took me to get into music to get back refocused and be like, okay, you in the real world. Like, I knew I was in the real world, but I was in La La Land somewhere, like, just enjoying life. I was in Disneyland. I was like, oh, yeah, it could go, yeah. And I'm still in Disneyland in a sense, but, kind of in the parking lot now, just a little bit. In the parking lot, looking in the park. Okay. So, but God is good, guys. Stay amazing. Ciao.